Welcome everyone to the SMPTE September meeting. Thank you for coming. We have with us Jared Timmins. So hopefully I pronounced that right, Jared. He is from TVU Networks. He leads the Global Solutions Team. He brings along with himself 15 years of sales, account strategy, and technology solutions and experience in the broadcast industry. Prior to joining TVU, Jared held several senior level positions at Grass Valley, with the most current one being Vice President of Advanced Technologies. Jared has also had senior strategic sales role at Piksel and Miranda. So with that being said, Jared, take it away and tell us about user-generated content.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. So we can keep this as collaborative as possible, right? I love to get questions and talk through some of the concepts, but what I'll be presenting today to the team is the concept of user-generated content as infrastructure. And before we get into that, I think what we've seen is COVID-19 rush through our industry and really take away what was probably an 18 to 24 month technology roadmap that would have allowed, I would say, a more graceful migration to cloud workflows and a different way of producing content. And at the same time, locked everyone inside their homes for over a year. And I think we have completely changed the consumption habits that are occurring across broadcasts. And with what was initially at the start of this pandemic a necessity to be able to figure out solutions to just keep the bread and butter of broadcasting and advertising on air, has really become what we consider a user-generated cloud revolution that's changed the cost of entry to getting into producing content, changed the way we can produce content, how quickly we can respond in the kinds of experiences that are much more personalized, much more bi-directional, and much more at scale. And we call that concept user-generated content as infrastructure because every place there is a cell phone with a TVU Anywhere app or a pack or any device that's connected into the fabric, we now have the ability not just to present a viewing experience, but to include the viewer in as a participant in the event in novel ways, whether that's a news event or a sports event or corporate communications event. We've just seen an explosion with the utilization of these kinds of technologies, as well as the quality of the output that you can now get utilizing broadcast grade technology on commodity devices to be able to both capture content, watch content, and participate in really unique and creative ways. So I'll start off by talking through what I believe is the main trends that are driving this kind of new adoption, new creation methodology in the way that we produce content. There is a need, one, because of advertising revenues that have dwindled because of COVID and just less spend overall. And the TikTok generation that's now viewing content in a much different way than we used to look at content. There has been this explosion, this arms race of content proliferation, whether that's between the companies like Netflix and Amazon that are buying up content across every kind of vertical, whether that's sports or entertainment or reality television, all the way to a new level of news production and next generation broadcast that's enabling us to tailor content and send content out in a much easier way for consumption across multiple different platforms. And again, we make less money on all of this content, so we have to make more of it. We have to figure out a way to make it cost affordable and a way to experiment with the new models, because I don't think anyone's really figured out exactly, I would say, the special sauce or the secret recipe of how we're going to create content into the future and how we're going to maximize that monetization. So, in our opinion at TVU, the arms race is just beginning and it's heating up, and we're seeing, new entries from the digital space coming in, like Google and YouTube and Twitch, and the amount of content that's just being uploaded into those environments and consumed is amazing. And the amount of viewership that you get on podcasts, on a per nightly basis, rival the entirety of viewership across prime time. So it's really incredible the way that content is moving forward, how quickly we can now create content, and the options that opens up for us as broadcasters to be able to take advantage of. We believe at TVU that the way that we're going to satisfy this need for much more content is to create the technology in a way that makes it's so easy to operate that talent can be the new operator across multiple different station groups, multiple different large network broadcasters, and even kind of new media broadcasters, travel companies, corporate communications. What we've seen is just an explosion in people creating their own content from from their computer at home, being able to very simply produce very high quality, very low latency solutions and outputs to every syndication point you can imagine. And the person that used to be the anchor is really now anchoring the entire show, being able to switch between guests, being able to bring those guests on, being able to control clip playback. And we believe that the secret to that is making it simple through next generation user interfaces, next generation cloud connectivity. So we say high operational complexity is no longer required for high quality production. And in fact, what we're hearing often when we're installing producer and party line into customer solutions is that the customers are telling us they cannot support having to afford a Kubernetes engineer to spin all this up. They need something that's so easy that their talent can click a link and be in. And we really think that that simplification is what's going to enable a different kind of production. And it's what we call community production. Next trend is this concept of bi-directional content. So we say the best camera is the one in your hand, and that every mobile viewer is a contributor. So instead of it being a receive only environment, whether you're out at a breaking news event, which if we look at the large scale of breaking news events that have happened over the last 3-4 months, even I challenge anyone to name a major news story that wasn't broken by some kind of user generated content story, whether it's the planes taking off and leaving in Afghanistan that are being shot with cell phone footage, or whether it's protests or election coverage. The way that we're able to capture that video from any source who's present and be able to respond very, very quickly is I think a new paradigm shift in the way that content is emerging and how we can create that content and the kinds of experiences. So everyone is content in user generated content as infrastructure. Every phone that you're viewing on, every iPad that you're viewing content on is also enabling us to capture that content and to bring you into the action of that content in a way that I don't think any of us would have thought would have taken off the way it has before COVID. I mean, initially this was just, let's get everyone on air, let's use our cell phones to get on air, but the technology has become so good, it's become so reliable, and the quality has become so high. What we're seeing now is really a new creative way of saying we can get emergence with our viewers in a different way. We can get real-time interaction, we can get personalization, and we can also get additional angles, additional content that we can utilize in our environment direct from the cell phone that is in people's hands. You kind of see the image that's on the screen now, which is, I'm watching the game on my cell phone, but I'm also shooting myself and getting to be on the big board during the kiss cams and during those kinds of things. And so what we've really seen, which I think was a little bit unexpected, is as people have returned to in presence viewing of things, the lessons that everyone has learned with user generated content and how to utilize that and to monetize that have actually become more important. And we're seeing higher adoption now as people return to on-premise viewing than we were when people were all stuck at home. And that's largely because these organizations that were forced to work this way over the last year have really found some interesting workflows that are highly complementary and augment the traditional broadcast in a way that drive additional revenues, drive additional eyeballs, drive additional experiences that can be tailored to what is a very fragmented market in the way that people view. There are those of us who still have scheduled viewing. There are those of us who like to watch things on our big screen. And then there are my kids certainly who would prefer to watch something on their cell phone. And all of those environments allow for a new kind of contextualization, right? Where we're bringing people into that environment, we're allowing them to participate, we're allowing them to feel like they're part of the content, and we're able to offer these special experiences direct to consumer in a way that we never would have thought possible, say 12 to 18 months ago. The next one is contextual operation. And so what does that mean? So we're big believers in microservices and micro applications. And so what are microservices? Microservices are a way of building code that allows you to instantiate that code very simply like Legos. So you can take various different pieces, different functions that you build, and you can orchestrate them depending on the context of their utilization in a way that is very targeted, very easy to spin up and down, and allows for a level of flexibility that we just didn't have when we were building fit for purpose hardware that did a single thing for its entire life cycle. We're now moving at a pace of development and at a pace of innovation that I've never seen in my career in broadcast before. And every day it seems to be getting faster. And this image right here, I think, goes to serve the point that if I have remote commentators at various different games that I'm trying to enable through a simple link based on this micro application, I'm able to present to that talent only the things they need to see to be able to do their job. So I have this orchestration complexity that's built on microservices, but I have this simplicity of operation where if someone's a commentator that may not be highly technical, all they have to do is click a link like you would a Zoom meeting, and now you're in our environment where you can comment on that game. You have low latency, you have high quality feedback of the video coming back to you, everything's frame accurate, everything's aligned, and you get that broadcast grade quality with a level of simplicity that's like joining a commodity conferencing tool set and giving you the ability to allow people to do their work from anywhere as if they were all in the room together. And then finally, and I think this is probably the biggest trend and change that we've seen in the way that us as a vendor has approached the market, especially since COVID, is this new mode of business model experimentation. The game has changed, the paradigm has shifted, whatever terminology you want to utilize to define that. It's not the same world, and it will never be the same world again that it was before COVID. And we have different problems. There's significant revenue downturns in multiple components of the broadcast industry because of the lack of advertising revenue, the fragmentation of viewership, lack of people attending events. And so because of that, we've really had to refine the way, not just our software, but the way and the how of how we work with customers. And we're big proponents of the concept of DevOps. And I think DevOps is oftentimes thrown around like a buzzword. And I think a lot of times it's adapted to just the engineering components of organizations. But for us, it's something that we believe impacts the way that all business is done, whether it's commercial discussions, whether it's solutions provisioning, whether it's technology creation. All of that is done at a speed that we've just never seen before. I mean, I grew up in this industry, and I grew up kind of seeing innovations be announced at NAB and potentially released at IBC of the next, the next trade show. And that calendar of events that we used to depend on and kind of worked on for at least the 15 to 17 years I've been in this industry is now over with. We're in a mode now where we're following the sun with development. Everything is in the cloud. All the infrastructure is scalable. You can spin it up, spin it down when you need it. And so now the ability to be able to have innovation velocity and to be able to move at speed, to be able to listen to customers' problems, to be able to deploy solutions that would have taken months, if not longer, previously in a matter of days, many times overnight, because of the way that we've built that technology. And so we see that as a way of completely enabling a new kind of business development, a new kind of transition from the old on-premise methodologies to cloud workflows, where you have a business problem you're trying to solve. You can utilize these microservices. You can present these micro apps so that they're effective and tailored directly to the operator. And then you can spin this up, only pay for the time it requires to test out the idea. If it works, you can immediately scale and double down. There's no lead time, there's no delivery. You can just go. If it doesn't, you can learn from that, adapt, and try different things, because no one, I think, has solved the kind of Rubik's Cube of what it means to deliver content in this new world, what it means to truly be OTT first, to truly be multi-device, to truly offer these personalized experiences to people. So we think that prototyping future revenue streams affordably and scientifically, being data-driven and creating a new kind of customer and vendor relationship is necessity to move forward in this new world that we're in. So what we're all about is this concept of real-time engagement. So we talked about microservices. We talked about the ability to build, solutions that feel customized to every application, but are really just orchestrated a different way to be able to provide the biggest utilization. And here's just a couple of elements that you can see this user-generated content revolution kind of overtaking. We're seeing lots of branding billboards, utilization in e-learning and corporate events. We've done several very high-profile award shows, all remotely, enabling a new way of bringing these people together and doing these events, doing talk shows, doing game shows, redefining how we can remotely do press events and town hall events, and even security monitoring with the same tool sets. And so high quality, low latency, easy to operate video is kind of saturating how we tackle production, even how we tackle the communication of our internal teams together remotely across enterprises. And so we call this real-time engagement, and we call this user-generated content as infrastructure. So a couple of things that we believe that this technology is enabling that's really changing how people go to market. Really, it's this ability to work together, even if you're apart, having broadcast grade productions from anywhere without compromising quality, without compromising latency, and allowing a new level of creativity and a new cost base, which I think is important. Well, what we're seeing in cloud technology is the ability to create live events at 1/10 of what it used to cost when we had to build these things on premise, and to be able to create those ideas overnight. You don't have to wait for anything to ship. You don't have to plug in any BNC connectors. You can just utilize the software in 10 minutes, know how to make it work, and be producing content that you can syndicate out to any of your social media environments, your CDN directly, and even to your linear environments to augment your current portfolio of content and really create new ways of interaction, which leads us to these unique experiences that we've seen enable us to captivate fans, enable us to engage players, enable us to layer on different kinds of experiences. I mean, in the sports world and in sports production, it's enabling you to have watch parties with friends all over the world, be able to look at content, be able to have legacy players come into VIP level events, be able to allow people to pay for levels of access where they can be part of a high five camera as players run out of the locker room, that they can be put on the big board at the game from home or while they're sitting in their seat, that they can contribute to video of certain plays right from the 50-yard line or right at the court level that can be immediately utilized and taken into the truck because they're all networked together in traditional broadcast ways, utilizing traditional workflows. And then the next thing is the ability to really market, the ability to bring in sponsorship, and the ability to bring in both vendor partners, but as well as marketing partners to create very, very special and meaningful engagements, like bringing military families in to see, to watch a game with their military relatives that are overseas at the same time, and then being able to put them up on the big board and give them as close to a feeling of actually being there as possible, and then really being able to tell a nice story of connecting people together through that process and taking all that all the way out to the linear and digital components of those distributions. So here's a little bit about what user-generated content as infrastructure is. It's our ability to bring virtual production with really an unlimited amount of participants into these virtual live events, each one that can be tailored to the level of engagement that customer has paid for, or the level of access that anyone wants to give them into that event from a participation standpoint. Many kind of town hall based talk shows that we've done, government events, even with politicians that we've broadcast out, allowing them to engage with their communities in very close contact, to be able to have conversations, to be able to broadcast those conversations, record those conversations, and have direct broadcast workflows that flow out of that. And so it's familiar now. I think we've all become more than accustomed to working with these mobile and web conferencing environments, but it enables us to bring fans, talent, and crew together all separately, but to orchestrate that as one event and allow people to be able to move people from different experiences in this environment. But the real catch to the infrastructure part of this is that if I have hundreds of people with cell phones and seats, each one of those becomes a camera angle I didn't have before, while also offering a unique experience to that person as they're participating in the event in person, offering the ability to be a participant in the event from home, but every station becomes a bi-directional content generation digital access point that allows us to kind of dip in. So we've all seen kind of the beauty shots that people take in sporting events or in different events from kind of the local bar or local places like that required kind of setting up a camera crew and having that. Now really anyone with a cell phone or with a kiosk, which we're doing a lot of now, where we're setting up these fixed kiosk locations with high quality cameras that have screens that are interactive, that can be utilized for many different kinds of events, but also serve as a really high quality window into what is happening at that location that can be always available to the creatives at the truck level or at the studio level to be able to take in those elements, and then have bi-directional content as well. So a couple of the things that we think is very novel in the news environment is being able to immediately have someone that's capturing content in a breaking news event that's local to that you can triangulate their location, and then while you're broadcasting their signal, have a real-time interactive private conversation with that individual to give them directorial guidance. Hey, can you focus in from this angle? Can you get us a little closer? So even when it's not our news teams that are the first on site, even when it's just pedestrians that are there with their cell phone, we now have not only the ability to capture that video, but to direct that story in a way that gives us the best possible quality, the best possible angles. And we can all do that without contaminating any of the high quality broadcast audio and video that's flowing through that system. And so our three big main points of focus is, first, broadcast quality throughout. It's utilizing the same feel of a commodity conferencing environment, but building it from the ground up to have full video quality, the ability to handle unlimited audio channels, to mix that audio together, to have built-in echo cancellation, have built-in mix minus, to have all of the ways of functioning that we're accustomed to in broadcast, but making it so easy that all you have to do is click on a link to join that. And user-generated content points of view are now accessible to all broadcast syndication points. So the moment that someone connects to that link and gives access to their camera and they're recording, I can see all of those cameras that are available inside of Party Line, and I can make a decision of how I want to route those cameras for utilization across the creative endeavor I'm trying to achieve, the output that I'm trying to achieve, and I can even personalize that output and that video back to that individual. And we believe that every digital access point, whether that's a iPhone camera that's mounted, doing 4K HDR, 60 frames a second video in an NFL war room for the NFL draft, or whether that's a high quality camera hooked up to a computer in a kiosk mode where people are at an event but also able to kind of be involved in high five cameras and things of that nature. We believe that this kind of bi-directional ability to create an experience but also capture that experience that you're creating is really, really relevant, especially to younger generations who I think are less impressed with very, very high quality production and more really looking for organic experience and personalization and meaningful connection in the events and in the news that they consume. So how do we do that? We do that through a couple of key technologies. One of them is TVU Party Line. TVU Party Line was created back in March of 2020 as a direct point of feedback from all of our customers who were utilizing our packs, utilizing our transceivers, utilizing grid to get back on air in emergency situations. But then they had a problem. No one could come into their buildings. Everything was shut down. They needed a way to be able to easily bring people together for both, remote operations, remote contribution, and direct routing into their broadcast environments or into their cloud environments. And so TVU Party Line was born in March and was brought to market less than 60 days after inception, and we've been continuing to develop that product. We've done things like the Grammys, the Critics' Choice Awards, the NBA draft, the NFL draft, utilizing this technology, allowing various different kinds of experiences. And so this is where the concept of micro applications in the way that both people who are involved in productions and people who are talent can now engage in a completely different way that is custom to the mode that they need to be in. So we have modes of Party Line that allow up to 30 people to all be talking simultaneously, while all being able to broadcast high quality audio and video to broadcast destinations. We have modes that were created specifically for press conferences where hundreds of people can come in. They can raise their hand, we know, to the frame of video that they were watching when they raise their hand. They can be added to a question queue like you see in this this image on this slide. And the actual person hosting the press conference, all they have to do is select the person that they want next in the questioner queue. So we also have the ability to take in Party Line mosaic mode hundreds or thousands of people and bring them into these mosaics, output each one individually and all of them at the same time to various different elements, whether you want like a digital audience shot, or you want to put that on a big board, or you want that to be a game show background. All of these environments become accessible to any of the workflows that you are currently using. You can take that out at the highest level of quality, and it really allows a new creative tool set that helps us readdress a new paradigm where we're going to have mixed and hybrid viewing of events for the foreseeable future, and allows another level of monetization on top of events to help kind of bridge the gap for some of the dollars that were lost throughout the pandemic. So here's a couple of sample use cases I'll run through with everyone. So fill the seats, right? You can see here, you know, whether it's at an Alabama game back at the heart of the pandemic where no one, you know, barely anyone's there, everyone's socially distancing, but you're able to bring in virtual cameras. Those people who can't attend the game because they're at risk, or, you know, they're over capacity based on those rules, are able to join, be a part of the game, be put up on the screens and be utilized. And then we see a new different way of having talk shows down here internationally, where you can bring up game shows, you can see the person's name, you can individually communicate with them, you can communicate to the entire group. So we've really seen a huge adoption in the way that digital audience and then the way that user-generated content is being brought into all kinds of sports and entertainment shows. So here's a little bit of kind of how that works. We call this our fan gallery. And so the ability is anyone can join from any device. And I think you have to make it simple so that from a single link, you can join from a cell phone, you can join from any operating system, you can join from a computer, Windows or Mac, and you can get the highest quality possible with the lowest latency. And then you can bring all of those people in through really any kind of format. You can invite your fans to the party, you can take all of them out, you can have individual conversations. We have some examples where we've brought in a bunch of fan galleries and then had a celebrity fan that was in the gallery that at a certain point in the event was able to be brought out of the gallery, have a one-on-one interview, and then be sat back in the gallery. So the way that we've built the technology is basically like a non-blocking people router in the cloud that allows you to take everyone or a single person and utilize them in whichever way works best for what you're trying to achieve in that environment. We've seen this used for auctioning or selling VIP seating. We've integrated a lot of this technology into ticketing apps so that it can be utilized that way. And it really allows you to supplement the venue with remote fans. So whether that's bringing fans into the action from creating multiple views that are hybrid in these environments, where you see that you got people on screen, you got remote fans in place. So you've got these hybrid environments that we're starting to see, like a lot of professional teams across various different sports engage in that kind of production, where we're embedding our SDK into their application. So the same app that you're utilizing to have, you know, a hot dog brought to your seat is also the same app that you can utilize our free SDK to be able to grab that content and bring it into this router, where you can start to move it around, utilize it, have audience video and audio and sound available at the venue, available to the truck, just ultimately flexible on how you want to utilize that infrastructure. Really doesn't matter the size of what you're trying to build. So we have the ability to group presentations from the smallest level of a single person you want to bring high quality back for a low latent interview that you want to be able to have the highest level, all the way up to hundreds and thousands of people that attend these events, both as watch parties as well as contributors to the audience of this. And this can be configured really any way that works for any output, and it can be taken in as IP, it can be taken in as SDI, and it also can be output as pretty much any IP standard and pretty much any SDI or 2110 environment, which allows it to natively connect to existing PCR environments, allows it natively to connect to LED boards that you already have installed on premise. So very, very flexible in the way that you can approach this architecture. I think I went backwards here. All right. So you can see where even for remote production comms, we have the ability to have participants working with hosts and with production staff to be able to create these mixed environments where you can be giving hosts information, you can create these virtual green rooms, you can have all of your contributors from your production with specialty interfaces, all talking together on Party Line, all seeing the video synchronized from any location. So I'll give you for instance, you can have, we do a lot of remote commentary, thousands of hours on our remote commentary product, which is really just a new interface on the same microservices. It's a micro app. But the concept is that you can send a link to remote commentators and they're immediately brought in to provide that level of narration and commentation. You can send a link to the person who is responsible for audio, and that link directly takes them into that broadcast audio mixer, and they have full control over the audio mixer. You can have another operator in a completely disparate location controlling all of your HTML graphics. You can have another person doing TD. You can have another person doing audio, audience management as part of all of this. Or you can have very simple operations really done through one interface with the talent that's hosting that out to social media environments. So the interesting thing about what the cloud enables and what this tool set enables in this new world is for the real small stuff, it can be as affordable as anything has ever been and allow you to really get content out there, try new things, and be able to do that from anywhere with really no overhead, only paying for the time that you utilize, all the way up to being able to scale to the largest level of events and special events that you want to create on the technology. So because we're utilizing elastic cloud technologies and open shared memory, scaling that up and down and fixing a price point based on need is built into the DNA of the solutions we're creating. And it's really allowing, and it's probably the best part of my job here at TVU is allowing this new level of creativity, a new way of thought, a new way of figuring out how we can create these experiences that bring the brands closer to the audience, that bring this story more personalized to the audience, and really creating these next generation hybrid environments that every day customers come to us with new utilization cases that I never would have thought of. Seems so obvious when they tell you about them, but it's this tool set that's enabling that kind of next generation creativity, next generation business model experimentation, and next generation monetization. So here's a couple of examples. This is Atlanta Falcons who utilize our technology, and this is them really setting up very quickly a elite VIP high five cam, so that the players, as they walk out of the locker room, can see the elite fans, their watch parties that they're having at their homes. They can stop by, they can see their names, everyone can hear them, they can talk to them. These people pay extra for these kinds of experiences. And then immediately, because we have the ability to move people dynamically from any room that they're in a certain experience to any other room instantaneously, it allows, then once the players run out, all those people can be put on the big board shouting and giving energy out to the crowd. And the cool thing about that is everyone is synchronized together within a 200 millisecond time profile. So that allows this level of organic experience where the roar of the digital crowd seems real. Everyone's seeing the video return at the same timing as everyone else. So you don't get this kind of mix match, which we often call like digital double dutch, right? Where people are trying to talk, but there's such a delay, or audio channels are being dropped because too many people are talking at one time, that you really get this unnatural, inorganic, synthetic feel to the conversation. We really believe we've solved all that problem, and we allow the same kind of conversations, but with higher quality, that you would have on FaceTime and Zoom directly to broadcast, and in a very easy and understandable way. So what are some of the monetization opportunities that are created by this next generation of user-generated content as infrastructure? Or these VIP opportunities allow us to create certified links that come directly from Ticketmaster, that come directly from Live Nation, allow these, I'm actually doing this presentation right now on a kiosk that I have built with a 4K camera and large screen television that we utilize for testing different environments. These kiosks can be taken full screen and shot on camera, or their output can just be taken out into the broadcast domain and utilized. And it really allows for very simple or very complex environments, you to bring people into an experience, monetize that experience, create a sense of VIP access, especially to places, that's what COVID-19 and utilizing this technology was all about. It was about giving access back to people, access that we didn't have because we were all locked down. But now, even when people are returning to events, even when live audiences are returning to shows or returning to broadcast events, having the ability to still make that feel personal, to still provide an extra level of access to places they never were going to be able to be allowed to with or without COVID, has really changed the paradigm in how we're creating these views, how we're creating these experiences across the board. The sponsorship opportunities, you can see some military families being brought in here with the Falcons and how they're able to utilize that and sponsor that. We have events in baseball environments where you can get special access to pitchers that are warming up that are sponsored by various brands, that you can enter that into a kiosk mode and you can see the branding, you can see you have full control over the background image, you have full control over any graphics that you want to put on that screen. And anyone that joins that environment is seeing the branding and the marketing that you're putting into play. We think we've kind of changed the way that you can do high quality broadcast press events in a way that allows us really with our grid network and with Party Line to make any event instantly available to the press, make the press be able to join with a single link, be able to record all press interaction, be able to give the people that are doing that press conference full control of how they want to organize those press into question scenarios, how they call on them. The people that are in the press get a micro application where they can see exactly what number they are in the queue. They can raise their hand while the event's going on. They can have personal conversations with the audience coordinator. They can set up their question and answers. A lot of this is done for talk shows as well. And then that can be output at high broadcast quality. It can be recorded. All those files can be utilized in editing environments directly from the cloud via our ISO recording service. And it really has allowed us to create these press experiences that allow you to have organization, but also allow you to have a level of professionalization inside of press conferences remotely that you just don't get from commodity tool sets. This is how that kind of works. You can see in our press line environment, I'm able to bring people in from any of those devices. I'm able to say who's the talent. I'm able to upgrade anyone to interview, allow people to be added to the questioner queue. They can see their place in the questioner queue. This is also utilized for VIP access, question and answer sessions like Ask Me Anything sessions with YouTube environments, Ask Me Anything sessions with various different professional athletes, professional stars, celebrities, red carpet events. Really, I think the list is almost endless in the way that once you understand this tool set and its flexibility and the low cost base, what you're enabled to really create in this new world. The ability to huddle, to get together, even remotely, whether that's teams getting together to discuss strategy, or whether that's being able to do in-house broadcasting. We do a lot with various different corporate environments that are utilizing this tool set for their corporate communication, which is largely just a broadcast that they deliver internally, but being able to bring their employees that are all working remotely into these watch parties, but also into the discussion. So you get that sense of culture and you get that sense of community in those environments. And it's really easy to bring all those people together, bring multiple camera angles into these environments. We have done recently professional sporting events where we're shooting all of them with 12 iPhones, bringing those iPhones into Party Line, utilizing them in our cloud production switcher producer, putting graphics, having remote commentators in there, and being able to really take a different approach to being able to create these events and these games that you would be amazed at the quality that you can get out of the latest generation iPhone or Android device with the optics that are on these cameras, the on-device machine learning, the ability to aggregate together both the Wi-Fi and the cellular connection to be able to get shots you really never could before at a price point that is very, very affordable to really throw down these cameras, utilize embedded bandwidth, and be able to create these augmentations, these different views, these different points of access across any kind of production scenario. So what sets us apart at TVU? 15 years in the industry, doing over 4 million hours of transmission a year, and in over 3,000 TV stations, proud Emmy Award winner, working with the highest level of brands. But really what sets us apart is we're all about solving problems. And we believe that the adversity that all of us have faced has also created new opportunity. It's also created a new way at looking at broadcast. It's also created a new way of connecting our customers to their customers in a way that allows them to monetize that connection, build brand awareness, and really solve new problems in a way that wasn't possible even a year ago, with the way that the cloud has allowed us to work with our customers, understand their problems, and be able to provide creative solutions towards that end. So with that, I really appreciate everybody's time, and I tried to end this up a few minutes early in case there were any questions, so we could dig into any of that. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it. That was an excellent presentation and well in depth. I appreciate that. Anybody have any questions? I have the chat open, so anybody that's watching online, enter in the chat, and he'll see your question.
Mark, could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, I appreciated everything you shared, Jared. The question for you is, with user-generated content, now how do you, what's the nuts and bolts of that? Do you have to install an app on their phone, that kind of thing, in order to get them involved in generating that content?
No, you do not have to install an app. So we basically created two scenarios. So especially in news, and we have several station groups utilizing TVU Anywhere for news, several large sports networks that all of their remote kits are done through TVU Anywhere in our app. But what we found is there's really two different kinds of interactions you want to encourage. You want to encourage that breaking news or instantaneous interaction where I need that person on air now, right? And I can't go through the hurdles of them having to download an app or do all that stuff. So for us, all of our technology, user-generated content technology, works on any mobile device, so Apple and Android, direct on the native browsers, so Safari and Chrome respectively. But if this is a guest that you're going to continually have on, there are benefits to utilizing our TVU Anywhere app. So TVU Anywhere app basically turns a cell phone into a mini aggregated pack, and it utilizes IS Plus as a distribution technology that allows for the highest level of quality and signal integrity. So when you do have time to have someone utilize the app, it's always better to do so. But we can get anyone on air from any device without downloading anything, including any Chrome or Chromium-based browser on any operating system.
That's a great answer. So then, is there like features that aren't on the app that aren't on the browser, that are on the app? And I'm thinking about like talking to your user-generated person, your user out there, and saying, hey, we're about ready to bring you on air. Is there any kind of communication when they use the browser, or do they have to use the app, or is no communication with the far end possible?
So in either scenario, what we call our real-time interactive layer that allows those one-to-one or private group conversations is always in effect, right? So you can utilize that whether someone joins from a browser or from the mobile device. There is some quality, or from the application. There's some quality benefits to utilizing the protocol through the mobile device, and there are some features that you have on device. Like we have the ability on when someone joins via an app. for an operator to control their camera settings on the app, right? So I can control exposure, I can control light levels, I can control digital pan, I can control digital zoom. I can enable things like the new M1 iPad that I have behind me has a feature called Center Stage. It's utilizing a cropping algorithm in the machine learning enclave inside of the Apple chip to follow that person across that 12 megapixel image. That can immediately be integrated into TVU Anywhere because we've built that SDK into the app. So the functions of being able to have the conversations, get people on air and route them to anywhere, whether that's a broadcast or IP destination, work on any environment, whether it's a mobile environment, whether it's a Chrome environment, whether it's our application across all of those. But there are additional levels of quality and functionality that the application opens up.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Jared, Tom Michaels has a question, one of our viewers. He wants to know how many of the TV stations are US domestic versus international?
It's a fair mix. So we're in most of the large station groups in North America. We're in several Canadian television station providers or television providers. We're all over Asia and India, and China, across multiple international events, Japan, Korea. So this is widely deployed both, I would say, domestically and globally. And we're only seeing more and more adoption of this kind of technology and growth, especially because of the cost base.
All right,
Hopefully
thank you.
that was a fair answer to the question.
Any other questions? Okay, yes, I got another one. Is the API for workflow integration freely available, or do you need to register or purchase it?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'll try and answer it. So
It's in the chat, if you want to, on the
yeah,
bottom.
I see the
Okay.
API for, I'm not sure what the workflow integration means, but so all of our APIs are open and all of our SDKs are free. So when I mentioned like professional teams integrating our SDK into their app, so the same app you order a hot dog to your seat on, you can actually take video and send it out for utilization in broadcast. All of that is free. All of that is open. Everything that we have built is an ecosystem more than a platform, right? And I think you see this a lot in the move to cloud, where a lot of broadcast vendors are trying to kind of wall everyone into their garden. We have a completely different standpoint on that. We want the best microservices to win. And so all of our stuff is open, all of our stuff is documented, all of our stuff is accessible to be able to build your own interfaces, build your own API environments, or utilize the ones we provide. It's free on the website. You don't need to register and you don't need to purchase it.
Okay.
That answer
anyone
the
else?
question?
Yep. See, I don't. Tom, did that answer your question? Okay, I'm not getting a response. So, yes, it did. So he says, yes, thank you. All right, excellent. Okay, anybody else out there with a question? If not, we're going to wrap up here. It's almost 1 o'clock. So I'm going to. Okay, so thank you again, Jared, for your time and your presentation. It was an excellent presentation. Al, thank you for bringing Jared on board. And
thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
A lot of great information. So thanks, guys. For that, we'll close this out, and you guys are free to go. And we're out a minute before 1 o'clock. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, take care.